gente nos dice Junior, es que lo que pasa que a quienes les llegan los dolaritos de USAID solo es a los líderes que organizan y obligan a los demás aunque el vecino no tenga que comer. Y es verdad, o sea, saben, estos líderes, esta gente, por años les han metido un acontecimiento que pasó hace cientos de años, les han metido en la cabeza a su gente, como es la conquista. Y los meten, los dejan ahí estancados, que vivan eso, o sea, como que pudieran cambiar el tiempo. Eso no va a cambiar, eso ya pasó. Lo que está pasando ahora es lo que interesa. ¿Qué es lo que hace que un país salga adelante? ¿Qué es lo que en verdad se debe de exigir de los gobiernos, a los políticos, etcétera? Pero a esta gente le interesa eso, la desunión, la ignorancia, el mantener estancada a su gente. Y hay video de lo que ha hecho USAID en Guatemala. Y cómo es triste ver que estos personajes, cuando viene este tipo de gente, terminan hincados lamiéndole los pies. Ahí sí no, la conquista, ahí sí no es malo. Ahí está bien, porque ahí sí les atinan al precio. Hay video, miremoslo.
Thank you, Administrator, for coming here today. I was looking at the website for USAID, and it said the goal is to save lives, reduce poverty, strengthen democratic governance, and help people progress beyond assistance. Sounds laudable. I think it's something we all probably agree with, and I think it's in the context of Russia is often a country that has a cross purpose than we do. Certainly China does. And I'm going to focus on Guatemala today. And certainly China and Russia are there. And so if we want to do those things, I think, look, the American tax dollar is important and do a lot of things. But one of my colleagues said he was alarmed by some of the folks here questioning what we're spending our money on, and that the fact that we might not spend that money. When I find out we spent nearly $1 million to train and support the LGBTQ plus Victory Institute that trains and supports left-wing candidates in Guatemala after Guatemala pushed to be the pro-life capital of America, and then invested $11 million in assistance for groups to push for abortion activism in Guatemala. I'm just wondering, Administrator, how that fits into save lives, reduce poverty, strengthen democratic governance, and help people progress beyond assistance. Can you help me out there?
Sure.
How's that help?
Well, I want to say off the bat, I'm not familiar with either of those programs. We have, as you can imagine,
Sure, you got a lot.
thousands of programs around the
Heavy
world.
is the head that wears the crown, man.
But I am absolutely happy. I would actually like to hear more about what you're
I'm going
referring
to give you some more.
Okay, no, that too. Okay, but for starters, to simply say that we do stand with marginalized communities, and we do have a situation where you see significant spikes in attacks.
We're not talking about
LGBTQI.
slavery, ma'am. We're not talking about what's happening in East Turkestan. We're talking about different viewpoints. This is a sovereign country which we wish to help, and instead of helping them economically, we're telling them culturally. We're spending our money to change them culturally because we disagree with where they are culturally.
That is not the approach that we take either in Guatemala.
No, let me give you another one. We spent $30 million for climate and environmental related programs, including funds to teach radical climate agenda in schools. Ma'am, if we gave USAID money under a different administration and they took the NRA to that country and said, we're going to train all these kids in defense and gun ownership, what would you have to say about that?
Congressman, just the language that you're using suggests that these are not USAID. These are somebody's characterization of USAID programs.
Okay, well, let me give you another one.
Radical left climate agenda.
Let me give you this one. In 2021, so that's not too long ago, USAID headlined an event to discuss plurinational constituent assembly, in line with the indigenous agenda of radical leftist groups, including those sponsored by Chile and Bolivia. Ma'am, like my colleague just said, are we promoting the good things that the United States of America does through USAID? I suspect we're promoting this in Guatemala, and it's not looking too good for the United States of America.
So I really want to make sure that at some point we can correct the record, because you're characterizing these programs as if those are factual descriptions of USAID programs. I can't tell you exactly the right way to describe the programs that you're describing, but I can assure you that the descriptions you have do not belong on a record of fact here in the Congress. What I can also say is that, as you probably know, a very significant share of the Guatemalan population is indigenous communities.
Yeah.
It is the case.
But they
that
also have
central-
property rights issues, and those kind of things destroy property ownership, which was the hallmark of climbing out of poverty. Let me give you one more, because we're running out of time, and I want you to be able to respond to it. Under education, under USAID, they financed Association Lambada, which has trained hundreds of political leaders on gender identity and sexual orientation. Well, look, I'm all for election integrity and making sure people vote and all that stuff. I'm not sure that we should be spending American tax dollars in America on political candidates and ideology any more than we should be spending them abroad. Would you agree?
I believe that the United States, a major source of our strength over the last 75 has been our support for human rights, and marginalized populations in countries like the one you mentioned are often suffering more than mere discrimination or disenfranchisement. They're suffering outright attack. Without knowledge of the particulars, I'm unable to explain to you why I think it's
Ma'am, I
to
will
run that program.
get the article for
But
the
I'm
record
happy
for you.
to engage offline and talk more about what actually these programs
Yes,
do, because
ma'am.
I don't think that's an accurate
Mr. Chairman,
account.
I'd like to submit the article for the record.
Without objection.
I yield.
Y pues Arévalo estaba apoyando eso. Y no solo Arévalo. Arévalo es igual que todos los políticos que tuvimos antes y que estuvieron en el poder, todos los que estuvieron en los diputados, todos los ministros, son igual de porquería, porque ellos siguieron apoyando eso. Arévalo no es diferente, y él apoya a todos esos grupos. Hasta Yamatei apoyaba todo eso, porque si no, lo hubiera parado, ¿no? Pero no lo hizo. Y ahí ven en TikTok, en Instagram, ahí los disque justicieros sociales. Ahí ven a la Marcela uniéndose con estos, disque de ahora de activista, después de que no ganó ni siquiera para diputada. Fingió ser una mártir ahí, violentando a estudiantes de la San Carlos. Pero ahora hay que aplaudirle a esos, ¿no? A los que venden a su país. A esos que se reúnen con estos para ver cómo utilizan a su gente y venden a su país. No son diferentes que todos los gobiernos que pasaron. No, son la misma miércoles. Y la izquierda asquerosa siempre metida en Guatemala. Pero bueno, ahí habrá el que no quiso entender y ese ya es su problema, no es el mío. Yo, como ciudadana, me siento feliz de dar información y prefiero decir 1000 veces que puedo ser de derecha o liberal, pero jamás de izquierda, jamás. Por cierto, yo trato de decirles con videos y explicarles con mucha paciencia. Y hay 1000 maneras de llevar a los burros a tomar agua, pero de obligarlos a beberla, no. Así que quien entendió, entendió.